1.
Hello and welcome to Three Guys Reading the YouTube API Docs, otherwise known as Live Coding Happy Hour. I am Dave Slusher. Joining me here are Josh Nerius and Chuck Tomasi, and we are going to continue forward. We've done 2 weeks so far on our Flow Designer Integration Hub series. We're going to continue forward this week. What we're going to do now, this is going to be a little bit of a, I don't know what you call it, not a step back, but here's my goal is by early next week, we schedule the next one of these things with this tool. So I've got an absolute agenda here because I'm so, as we mentioned in previous, there's so many fiddly settings and I set them wrong and I want the machine to start doing it. So that's what we're going to do. So there's not going to be as much mind-blowing new Flow Designer smell as previous shows. What we're going to do, we're kind of doing a lot of the detail work that goes along with this. So that's what we're going to do this week. Before we get into that, let us first go through and introduce ourselves, starting with Josh.
Yeah, I'm Josh Nerius. I'm a developer advocate here at ServiceNow in the developer program. Go to developer.servicenow.com. And I ran the last 2 of these. It actually feels really good to step back and watch this week. I'm going to just make comments.
And by the way, it feels real bad to I feel real unprepared for this. So,
and I got to do the easy stuff too. So anyway, go ahead, Chuck.
Hi, my name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow. I'm the ServiceNow guy with the red bow tie. And the tie is untied. It's been tied all week at user groups and meetups. And I'm glad to be back home and partaking of this.
All right. And I'm Dave Slusher, developer advocate at ServiceNow. And let us get to it. Beers, gentlemen. This is, while you guys are getting ready, I'm going to tell you the clinical name for what I'm going through is a really crappy day. So I'm going back to comfort. I'm going back to the sweet baby Java from Dewclaw, which is both delicious. It is espresso bean infused, and I have.
Is that the jalapeno peanut butter one?
No, this is chocolate peanut butter. It's like a
chocolate peanut butter.
It's very much like the Liquid Bliss from Terrapin, but it also has this kind of espresso, and I'm also mixing it with an Americano. So we're getting it all at once here.
Very nice, very nice.
Josh, what are you drinking?
So the topic's the same this week. The beer's the same this week. I've got the Brew Free, the 21st Amendment Blood Orange IPA. It was delicious before. I still had it in my fridge, and I didn't go buy more beer.
I was in San Francisco just yesterday and wish I was a block and a half away from 21st Amendment. Wish I could have brought something home, but instead I'll be doing a good old Guinness draft.
Oh, I haven't seen one of those. Is that the first time we've had Guinness on Live Coding? I think it might be.
That's
probably
surprising.
So. Yeah. And the first thing that's going to have to happen before we get into this is I've got to figure out where the share screen button is in this new Skype. And I realize right now I don't know where it is.
It used to be under conversations. Did it change? It's not a button, but a menu option under conversations. I
don't even have conversations. I don't even have conversations.
I keep hearing people talk about new Skype, and somehow I have been spared from that. It might be upgrade. Updates are blocked by IT. I don't know what's going on.
Video settings, camera.
Go to the help menu, search for it, share.
All right, I might need you guys to talk. So why don't you Josh? Why don't you give us a little background of where we're at while I search for how in the hell I share in the Skype.
Sounds good. So in the last 2 episodes, so in the first part, as we started exploring Flow Designer and IntegrationHub, spent some time building out a new spoke that would talk to the ServiceNow API, or I'm sorry, the YouTube API, not the ServiceNow API. So we explored some of the core concepts of Flow Designer and how Flow Designer works. We looked at IntegrationHub. We built out what's called a spoke, which is really just a scoped application that bundles functionality for use by Flow Designer. And we made API calls. We did OAuth. We did a whole lot of stuff in 60 minutes unrehearsed, which was kind of crazy and speaks to the power and really just how nice Flow Designer and IntegrationHub really is. And then last week, we just kind of poked around and played with stuff. So, we tried some things with iteration. We tried, I found the share button. We just tried stuff out. Really, our goal here has been to, this is brand new functionality and really just to see what's out there. With that, the other thing I want to mention too, if you haven't watched this show before, this is not a demo. This is not scripted. We don't know that stuff is going to work. Things often break. So as we explore this today, just keep that in mind, because sometimes things go a little bit bumpy, and that's how we like it. So.
Well, let's not romanticize too much.
Okay, we're accustomed to it. Maybe we don't like it.
Yeah, it's definitely not a design consideration. But okay, so one thing, we did actually get some feedback from the guy who, what's his exact title? The guy who's like the developer manager of this feature, the Flow Designer feature.
Director, I don't know what he is, but yeah,
director of engineering. He's like basically like the boss of the teams that do this. And he watched the last two, and we had got one thing wrong that he corrected us on, which is where we said you had to put a new action at the bottom and then move it up. He pointed out that in fact there is a UI way to add it in the middle, and this is subtle, so we're going to show it here because you would not necessarily see it. And I'm even going to up the screen a little bit here if I can get that to go. I can't do it on the Flow Designer. All right, so if you hover on the line between like 1 and 2 here, you'll notice a plus.
Oh, nice.
Anyone ever seen that? I've never noticed that before. I've been playing with this thing for a month. I never noticed that. So in that balance between kind of like in your face and elegance and subtlety and etc., I have always just missed that you can do that. So you click that, and now you've got action flow logic in the middle there. So
beautiful.
Yeah. So there you go. There's our correction. So there's our I don't know what you call it, our errata from previous shows. So
we now have quick tips in this show.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So as Josh was saying, the like when we started with the 3 guys reading YouTube APIs, what we've got now is we've got in our spoke, we've got a schedule broadcast spoke or action in our Flow Designer. Okay, so we've got that. We've got this right here. We have the schedule broadcast action. So given some inputs, we can schedule the live broadcast. We build this payload that basically sets a start time, does some stuff, and then stringifies it and creates the broadcast. And that it gives you that scheduled thing. What we don't have is, and we've spent some time unwinding this, and this is way confusing. So if you've never done a live streaming on YouTube, you may never have seen the UI. We do because we schedule this, right? You basically get one form that shows you a bunch of stuff, and you're both creating a live broadcast, is what you, the viewers, are watching, and a live stream, which is what we, the broadcasters, are sending. And the user interface makes it look like one thing, but when you start digging the APIs, you realize it's multiple things, and you have to associate them. So we have been creating the live broadcast, which allows us to like create the event, but it does not allow us to send data to it. To do that, we have to create a live stream, and that's where we tell it things like what frame rate we're going to be sending the video at, what resolution we're going to send the video at, what address we're going to use, and things like that. So we need to do that, and then once you have both a broadcast and a stream scheduled, then you do this bind call, which sets the two up. So bind is actually really simple. It's on the broadcast API. You bind it, you pass the ID of the broadcast, and you pass it the ID of the stream, and then when you're done, you have them associated with each other. So what we need to do is kind of start walking down that path. So we have a bunch of detailed stuff to start working on. So I think the first step to do is, do you want to tackle the live stream? Well, why don't we tackle the live stream action next?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because you need to set up the stream before you can set up the broadcast.
Yeah. Well, so we also need to flesh out our broadcast quite a bit, because we have a little bit of default stuff, not nearly enough to actually work it, and we're not like if you notice this, I've got a hard-coded date time and the title that we have passed in and nothing else. And so we have a bunch more stuff that we need to do, and we're going to kind of work on that throughout today. How about, because I am what is it? Larry Wall, the guy from Perl, said the 3 virtues of programmers are impatience, hubris, and laziness, I think, were the 3. And I'll admit to all three of those. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your scheduled broadcast. I'm just going to start by copying that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we'll make that schedule. We'll just call it schedule. I don't even know if we want. I'm not even going to call it schedule because again.
Make stream something.
Create.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is my thing. If there's one thing I want out in the world is that it's like clarity trumps everything, right? Understanding what the heck this thing is later on trumps every single aspect of it.
Yeah, don't call it test or dummy.
Exactly. All right. So we're going to create that. All right. So we've got our create live stream. And this will be, let's go over to the YouTube. We're going to, and am I going to have to do different OAuth stuff? Let's see what we got by default. It carried in, does it carry in your connection alias?
It does. So you should be able to, I think you're going to be able to use this. You're going to have to log in as you, of course,
okay.
Instead of me, but I think this is going to work.
Okay. So let's go ahead and when it comes to that point, we'll do the OAuth stuff, which again, even consuming the OAuth stuff makes me a little nervous. So that's one of my things from this show is like I've got to up my OAuth game, and I don't know if you guys noticed. I'm even wearing an Auth0 t-shirt. So I should.
I did notice that.
All right. So what we need to do, so live broadcast, we need this to be, I believe, live stream. That the.
Or is it streams plural?
Streams plural.
I don't even see.
Does it say at the top?
This is something about how they. A live stream resource, but.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Or live streams resource. Like finding out what the actual endpoint is a little tricky in these docs. I don't know if you've had that experience, Josh.
So actually what I did was, see under insert, there's try it now.
Does the try it now? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I think that'll give you what you want. And this is kind of like our own REST API Explorer. It's just built into the thing and you can start trying to pass stuff to it.
Right, let's just do an XYZ. And if we do that, all right, and we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Allow that. Okay. 400 because probably, but all I really want is
everything needed. But yeah, that makes sense.
All I really want is YouTube live. So it is live streams. Okay.
Which seems like an interesting naming choice, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yes. Okay, and then in part, I have to also do. Is it going to show? Is it showing me all the? Is it showing my actual stuff that I sent?
Yeah, it should. And
or is it showing my query parameters? Oh, that's what I did. So I did the wrong thing. So part, I should be telling it. For part, I should be telling it basically.
ID snippet. I think ID and snippet were the ones that I did before.
Snippet. And so those are, and CDN.
So interesting. Okay. So CDN.
If I do that, I should get, so I got a 403. Okay. Well, okay. This user is not enabled for live streaming. That's a problem.
I think if you go to, I guess it depends on how much you want to explore your YouTube account right now on YouTube. But I think you can just enable that if you go to what is it, youtube.com and just look for live streams. I'm trying to remember the exact menu.
All right. Tell you what, let's just do that right here. Oops, gosh dog it.
Oh, yeah, you'd be under the content creator option.
We can also give this, we have all sorts of alternate titles for this show, one of which is more than you ever wanted to know about live streaming on YouTube. And which actually this could be interesting and useful for somebody who's trying to get started with that.
All right. So where am I?
Click your icon, your avatar, and Creator Studio.
Okay.
Yep. And a menu on the left. Live streaming.
Let's do it. All right. We're creating a channel right now. All right.
And there's your stream now and events.
Okay.
Cool.
So am I now live streaming not enabled?
Not enabled. Huh.
It's possible
Pressing-
that you have to
Authenticate.
maybe you have to do more.
All right. Let's give me 1 second. Cover me, boys.
Yes. So I guess just looking at the screen here, a couple of additional things you'll have to change. So we looked at the part. What's interesting about the way the YouTube APIs work is that not only do you have to pass the data in the body, you have to tell it which pieces of data you're passing it. So that's
Crazy.
what that part is. So you're saying, I'm going to give you the ID and the snippet and the content details and the status. That was for the actual broadcast. And then in the body, you actually give them the ID and the snippet. And each of those could be a larger structure. Like snippet, for example, is it's a JSON object that has a bunch of properties. So anyway.
Interesting architecture.
All right. So maybe I am now. Okay.
That's looking better.
That is looking better. 400 title required. Okay. So now we're down into
The bits and pieces.
bits and pieces. Okay. So now I'm confident if we do this, we can actually get something on my account and see it. So that's all we needed from that. So live streams. So now we have to kind of deconstruct from this what we need to do in that. And so we need snippet, we need CDN, and we don't really need anything else, I don't think. The status, we want content details as well. Okay.
That makes sense.
Because what we're going to do, and this is a thing that I have to, this is what we're basically doing is we're solving my problem for this show, which is I have to do a lot of mechanical stuff and I'm always worried I'm going to mess it up. So we're taking that off the table.
Interestingly enough, none of this stuff is the mechanical stuff you were messing up. You don't specify snippets and IDs and things.
Yeah, well, some of it is like the content details. One of the things you're doing is, is this reusable? I guess actually, I was actually thinking as I was saying, is this closed captionable? Because you have to always answer to has this ever aired on TV in the United States? That's one of the questions you have to answer over and over. So that let me make sure that I'm not. I was thinking that I was setting that.
Yeah, it looks like that might be something else.
Content details. Information about the stream, including the closed caption ingestion URL.
Oh wow! So you could have like a live.
You could have a live closed caption. You could have closed captions coming from somewhere else.
They would get really confused at the things we say.
That's how it was at the GitHub Universe conference we went to.
Yes, we saw that at GitHub Universe. What was the thing? Oh, Jango. Jango never once, like every time they talked about the Jango, the templating engine in Python, it never, poor closed captioners. It was Jango. It was Jango.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay. So snippet and CDN, that's all we need for that. Okay. So then in our building our payload, we need snippet, we need CDN. I guess what we're going to do here is we can definitely, so ID we don't need. So let's back this up to
one suggestion I have for you is if you go back to the Explorer, they're basically in the request body. This will autofill those various parameters out, and this is how I figured it out. Is I basically just put one piece in at a time and just built it out until it would finally work, and that was how I got my.
Okay, so snippet title, and snippet title is, and the problem being is that you must have a snippet title. You must have a CDN. Okay, this is really what I want right here. Snippet title, CDN format, CDN ingestion type. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get this on the screen at the same time. CDN format. Let us not type anything because it is that kind of day. All right. I don't need that. So okay. And this, I don't need the scheduled start time. So if we, armed with just this much stuff, it's a little bit of a double entry. So we got to do the title in the stream, live stream. We've got to do the title in the broadcast. Seems a little bit weird for me, but
that is a little interesting. I'm not sure why they would ever be different, but
Okay, so input title, CDN, and then we have to work down to what the values are in this thing. So
in that body builder, if there are choice values, I think they'll bake them in. So if you were to say
Ingestion type.
CDN, ingestion type,
Oh, looky there.
RTMP, and oh, I like this. Okay,
Frame rate.
and resolution and frame rate. So I'm gonna set all three of these. So frame rate 30.
Yep.
And what's the 1080 and 1080p? Okay, excellent. So in fact, here's what I want to do.
Copy, paste.
Copy this whole thing.
beautiful.
All right. Might need a little bit of minor formatting here. And am I off by one in my?
No, it's just you need to indent the other one. Oh, you are.
I am missing a. Why is this not arrowing on me?
Closing brace.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's our standard script editor there.
Okay. So output payload. Now we got our rest step. And so ID, and so we actually, I need to make this match. And all we want is snippet and CDN in there. We don't want anything else up here. All right. Does this seem right to you guys? Snippet
It's looking
CDN.
good.
Live streams, snippet CDN. I'm posting to that. And the insert. So I guess the insert that they're talking about is really the post to this. Because it's not as if there's an insert endpoint.
Right.
This is what's been confusing me, is the fact that insert is logical. It's not there's not a live stream /insert. I wonder, curiosity, if I do update, is that just a put to the same endpoint?
I'm gonna guess you. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Good guess.
All right. Okay. Content type, application, build payload, and then output. Let's look at the output. It's telling me live stream resource. Let me see if I can. That. And really all I want is the ID out of this. YouTube, the live stream ID, which I think is the identical data structure.
That makes sense. So actually, then that would be, the extract ID step, I think, is where we're getting that.
ID is response object ID. So, okay, let's just see what this does.
Yeah, I think it'll work as is. Well, at least that part of it.
All right. All right, we're going to save this. We're going to publish it. All right.
And you don't even have to publish it if you don't want to.
Right.
But that certainly doesn't hurt anything.
Okay, so over here, I'm probably going to have to reload. Oh, that's the wrong
That's
thing.
the original. Yep.
Yeah, I got to reload this guy, right? Because I don't have my. I may not have had to reload it, honestly. Let's go ahead and let's do. Here's the magic. This is for you.
Oh,
Mark.
yeah.
All right. So in
applause sound effect.
our YouTube spoke.
Hmm?
Schedule create live stream.
Live stream.
The title is going to be from our artifact. All right. It's going to be. I should have actually gone and looked to see what we did last time, but I'm pretty sure it's the.
I think it's just title
Title of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Start time. We'll leave this right here.
because I think it's hard coded on the back end, right? Still.
Yeah. That is the thing we have to fix, but we have.
So you took it out.
Not gonna. Where did?
Oh, and is there a start time?
You took it out.
There is a. I'm not passing it, so it actually is not going to matter to the to the action. Where did I? Okay. Oh, that's interesting. You see how that was empty and then it rebuilt?
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Let's go with this. Let's test so if I test it, it's going to fail right now, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to have my OAuth stuff. Do I have to go and click the OAuth token?
Yes. Yeah, you're going to have to go into that. I think it's the alias.
Let's do it now and see what it does first.
Okay.
Let's just pick anything. We'll run that, and it should fail on one of our 2 YouTube things, I would think.
Or both. I'm not even sure. I think
We'll be stunned if it doesn't fail.
Unless my click to OAuth a minute ago was enough to generate the OAuth credentials. Look at that.
Stunned that it didn't fail.
I'm stunned that it didn't fail. All right.
that doesn't make sense. Let's look at those outputs. What did it actually do?
Sort of like when you're testing an approval on the workflow and there's no approver and it goes right through. Hey, what happened?
So it didn't do something.
So there's the payload it sent.
Yeah. Oh, so the rest step is the next one. Yeah, username password combo. So
Method failed. Yep.
You know why this is? I think it's because. So even though that came back and returned to 401, we didn't do anything with that.
Yep.
We didn't do anything to make our we didn't make our action fail. If the
That's an important step. And we hadn't considered that before. I don't think the subject ever came up. Is how do you do error handling in your action?
Yeah,
I have no idea. Do you, Josh?
That's a topic for another day.
So
Otherwise,
so for right now, though, what can we do here to make an error at this rest step bubble up? So, because I would like to, if we're getting an error here, I'd like to see it out here.
The only thing I can think of is you pass the HTTP status or something akin to that in an output, or both. The status and the status message in the output, and then your flow has to decipher: is it good or is it bad?
Yeah, so there is an example of this if you want to take a look at it in one of the in one of those messaging actions. Basically, what you do is you have a script step, and that script step can throw an exception.
Oh.
So when
do you know
the script,
do you know which
yeah,
one?
look, any of those send a message. So Slack or Microsoft Teams, any of those should do it.
Is it doing like a try catch?
So I think it's just looking at the status code. So if it's not a 200, then it's coming back and it's just throwing an error. So
it does a post message. So and handle errors.
Handle errors.
Yeah, exactly.
If
So
status code is not, it's a throw exception.
So there's a
now
method
Slack
called
error handler is a script include, but really all that's doing is it's just saying throw, and it's just throwing an exception. So
okay.
It's
So I should just be able to do this, really.
If you want to use the Slack error handler.
But if I can just throw an exception, a JavaScript exception.
Is 200 the only thing? I mean, isn't a 201 also acceptable? One is an insert and one is a.
Yeah, it depends on the API. So in the cases of Slack, all it would ever return is 200 because it's just doing one thing. But yeah, this will depend on it will depend on the API for sure.
Yeah, that one seemed a little rigid to me.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this, and then and I actually don't know
I think you can just throw a string, like just throw, and then.
Why don't I just throw this? Just throw the status code.
The status code.
Yeah.
You will want to make sure that status code is one of is it? Oh, it is. Okay, it's on the rest step.
All right, so if we do that, let's rename
you
this.
still have to put an input in there though as well.
I have to put an input where?
Input
on the
variable at the
script
top
itself.
of the step.
All right, say that again.
Sorry, talking over each other. The create variable at the top there under input.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we do our error check in step 3 and extract ID in step 4?
Probably. Can I do that? Wait, is that movable? Where are you now, Mark Brennan?
That's no fun.
All right.
Hover over stuff till a magic plus appears.
Here's what I'm going to do.
And we'll take that outside and we'll look into it.
How do you move the steps around?
Status code, and we want that to be the status code from there. Okay. Status code, throws, input status code. And throw is just sufficient. So that should really be check error. All we want to do is we want an error to happen.
Yeah,
Sure.
and because we're not catching it, then it's going to stop execution at the. It's basically going to kill this action and the flow.
Which is what we want to happen.
Yep.
We are learning all over the place.
So I thought this was going to be not that sexy, but this is actually a surprising amount of like good. I think what was the thing that I used? The new Flow Designer smell. All right, there we go.
Yes, yes. Okay, much better.
That's exactly what I want to see. Is I don't care how sexy it is. I don't care how it's not that well formatted, but it's enough. Is that we know that it didn't go forward from here. Okay.
Much better.
401.
But wait,
So,
the step after it completed. Wasn't it supposed to stop the flow?
Now that's
a step within.
That's within it. Yeah. So the error code, like that step 3 is the one that errored out.
Gotcha.
And so all the other ones
those
never
did not
happened.
run.
They did not happen.
Okay, I was reading that wrong.
Actually, let me. Is there anything in the chat? I'm going to take a drink break. Okay.
Freddie is writing for query params for part the snippet, and the CDN is it's supposed to be comma separated.
It is supposed to be comma separated. Did I not do that? Create live stream.
I thought it was.
I thought it was too. Snippet CD comma CDN. Yeah, it is comma separated up here. That is what it's supposed to be. Yes. And so our error down here was here. Now here's a question though. Why did we get the 401 invalid username password combo on this and not on
scheduled broadcast?
Scheduled broadcast. Why does scheduled broadcast complete?
Because we only added the error handling to the one action.
Oh,
yes.
They're both failing. Okay.
They're
so.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do that. Now the nice thing. What's the easiest way? Is there any way? Can you grab one of these things and drag it to another one? That would be.
It would be nice, but I don't believe so.
No, you can copy the whole action.
Yeah, I'll just copy this. Let's go ahead and put that in there just so that we're not confusing ourselves. And we want it again. We want it above extract ID script. Same thing. Create the variable. Create the identical variable. Status code comes from the identical place. Just a rest step status code. Now it's getting pretty automatic here. Go ahead and save that. So now we go up and we run our test again, and we will see the scheduled broadcast actually also failing. We want to see it fail there. Okay. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to go to the credentials. Is that right? I want to go to. You're going to have to walk me through this part, Josh, because this is where I get.
Yeah. So now, you want to go into the main UI, and I believe it's, just search for credential, and we're going to end up looking for credential record. It will be, that one.
YouTube API, Josh.
And after thinking about this more, I didn't even have to call that Josh. But anyway, so go in there, and then here,
I'm gonna click get OAuth token.
Yep.
Good for an hour. We're only on for another 25 minutes, so we're safe.
Manage my YouTube account. Yes. Okay. All right. So now, next step is we go back here. This should at least it won't have that error.
Yeah. The broadcast should work now.
I'm guaranteeing nothing beyond that. All right, let's rerun that for this. I will drink while that works.
When you authenticated, I had a time zone issue in my head because your instance is on PST, mine is on MST, and I looked up, and you're in EST, so I look up going, this is going to expire at 3:04. It's 3:04. What's up?
All right. So,
that's interesting. It got an ID.
And you notice, so the thing that we're doing here, and this is just because we copied that thing, this is actually not meaningful. This looks like this is the stream ID.
Oh, yeah. That's not your typical YouTube
right,
ID.
Right. It is a different creature because you'll notice over here, there's your YouTube ID. And by the way, this is just me. This has expanded in digits since the last time we met, has it not?
I think it was.
It's been
6, 7, or 8. Yeah.
It's been 6 for the longest time, and we're like 12 now.
10?
And I saw something like when I scheduled this one, I noticed that is a new GUID for YouTube.
I thought it looked longer.
It does. I sat there, I was doing the math because I think it's case sensitive. I was doing the math. It's like, all right, so you got 62 to the 6th. That's how many you used to be able to get.
Well, and now they've added dashes too.
Yeah.
So
I saw dashes
what other characters are in there?
Okay. So that's actually better than I thought we were going to get. So what we need to do, let me go back and check our action. When we create the live stream, so let's get rid of this because that's not meaningful. And it actually is kind of harmful to be there. So we do get the ID from it. And let's be a little clearer. Again, clarity trumps all. We'll call that stream ID. And by the way, while we're right here, I need to once and for all make a decision for myself. Am I using hyphens? Am I camel casing? I have the most god-awful mix of all these things in all my code and everything I do.
So this is the way I've thought about it, which is anything that's an actual output. So something that would show up on the Flow Designer form, I have tried to make it friendly. So notice like the pills on the right where it's camel case, spaces, and everything. That's the thing I've been doing. So like basically making it a human readable, like I would say stream capital S space ID, if that'll work. So it's basically that natural language thing because this is the thing that shows up on.
That'd be nice.
This is the thing that shows up on the flow or on the flow.
You have sold me. All right. So stream ID. We'll save that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and copy this thing again. Let's copy the broadcast one because we're actually going to be hitting the broadcast API. Am I remembering this correctly? The bind is on the broadcast. Okay. Okay. This actually, surprisingly, this might be doable. I in no way ever for 1 second thought this would actually get to completion.
Like so many of these shows.
All right. So let's say, and again, we want this to be bind. I'm going to be verbose here. Bind stream to broadcast.
That makes sense.
Sounds good to me.
And while you're doing that, I think what's interesting about this, the fact that we're getting as far as we're getting is because I would say I'm attributing this to just the fact that Flow Designer and IntegrationHub and all this stuff is so intuitive that we're spending time focusing on the business logic instead of weird stuff like OAuth. So it's just letting us focus on the good stuff.
That's a fair assessment in my opinion.
Okay. Error checking. I forgot to do that on the other one, so we copy this jacked up thing. We'll leave that there. So build payload, and really what we need, so we need some inputs. We need, and
this is that natural language formatting again.
So you want capital, initial capital. Stream ID.
Yeah, it helps when you think of what context these are seen in.
And both of these are going to be strings. All right. Why am I dragging it instead of just okay? So that's my inputs. We're going to build the payload, and the payload is going to be. We'll go back over here to the bind. Am I on the bind? Let's try it. XYZ, ZYX. And this is actually what confused me is that I was confused before because I realized this was what I had logged into with OAuth. It was not the instance. I thought, because when we were getting that thing, I thought, but I've already OAuthed into this thing. You know, I was doing it from the YouTube API page, not the instance.
That makes sense.
So, what I'm confusing myself on is from the try it here. Stream ID.
Live broadcast / something.
I'm missing something. The part parameter. I did not have the part specified. Oh, and in fact, I did the same thing again. Part is, I do this wrong every time. Part is
CDN And
this one is different.
okay.
ID and stream ID. This one is different because these are going to be
sure.
And then stream ID ZYX.
But didn't you say earlier that you could bind to multiple streams?
A stream can be bound to multiple broadcasts.
That's what
a broadcast can only have one stream. This is my like fingernail grasp on the YouTube structure here.
It's kind of a one-to-many thing. You can't go both ways.
Right. A broadcast, you can't have two streams feeding the same broadcast.
Right.
But you could have a stream. You could have one stream feeding two different broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
This is my barely understanding this thing.
Sounds logical when we're drinking.
Okay. So what I want is really I just need ID and stream ID. And again, they would if they had done the one more thing. If they had said broadcast ID. That's wrong. If they had done the one more thing, like see how they're saving a couple characters on that ID, and if they had said stream ID and broadcast ID, think about how much more sensible this thing would be.
Oh yeah, it would be much easier to understand.
All right, and then we're going to do stream ID, and so then we're going to do.
You could actually fix that with a comment in your code to say the ID is the broadcast ID, or it'll be fairly self-evident here with inputs dot whatever.
Yeah, and this is the thing. So I passed in the inputs. So this and you know what? This is not even letting me put a space in here. So
no, yeah, so because this is a script inputs, this is where I then go to like normal, basically normal JavaScript variable naming.
Okay. So now those are what I have available internally here. And you'll notice it actually like by default these were already populated. I didn't set these up.
Pretty cool.
The broadcast ID and the stream ID were already passed into there. So inputs dot broadcast ID, comma, inputs stream ID. And then rest step, we are doing live broadcast. We are doing, what's the method here? Post to a different, YouTube. You're confusing me a little.
So they're using the HTTP methods for determining some of it, but not this one.
Not all of it, yeah. Okay.
It was a different team that month.
And so the question is this then this is a post as well?
This is a post, yeah. It was a post.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
ID stream ID. All right. So I've got the part populated. This is one of the nice things is so we've done I don't know how many different like as a ballpark, how many different APIs do you suppose we have hit in the year and a half we've been doing this? A dozen at least, right?
Yeah.
More than
at
a dozen,
least.
right?
Yeah, 20. So yeah, it's been a lot.
Think about like of those dozen, no two had the same strategy top to bottom, right? So this part thing, I don't know that I've seen this part thing anywhere but here.
No, this is the first place I've seen that.
Yeah.
You seen that kind of thing, Chuck?
No, I have not.
Oh, yeah. And so and then when it's done, returns a live broadcast resource. So I'm just going to let it. Yeah, the extract ID should do the same thing. It's actually, I believe that this is really going to return the same thing that scheduled broadcast did. It's just going to basically return it back out.
Got it.
Let's go ahead and save this. And now let's go back to here.
Fingers crossed.
We saved that. We're going to come over here. We schedule the broadcast, and we'll put that in here. Now we're going to bind it. Come back to our YouTube spoke. Bind that. Broadcast ID is broadcast ID. Stream ID is
so easy.
Stream ID.
It's almost fun.
Done.
Beautiful.
I almost.
We just gotta stick a YouTube logo on that thing and we're done.
I'm gonna drink. I'm actually prolonging this a little bit.
I've been drinking all along. It's just a celebration today.
All right. All right, let's take bets. We haven't done this a long time. Remember when we used to wager every time we hit a button? Do you think is this going to work or not work?
I'm going for work.
I'm going for work too.
We're having very good success today.
Man, so I feel like I'm going to have to be the negative one now, just because you both said it's going to work. I'll say it's not going to work.
There's some game theory to that, right? If we had something on the line,
Right.
it would have. All right, we're going to test it. Let's see what happens.
May the
Same
odds be
thing.
ever in your favor.
All right, so we still have, like, even if this works, we still got a bunch of detail work because we're still like not setting up a lot of the parameters that need to be set up.
Oh,
400. What is that?
I win, but I take no joy in it.
400.
So it's actually on the bind. So we need to
see where we can get some more
we got
detail.
The stream ID. We got the ID.
So you should be able to just go down
REST
to the rest step in that action and see the raw output. Yeah, there it is.
Error, domain, reason required.
Required parameter ID. Wait, the what? Okay, well, let me look at my thing. I think this might be the nesting. I think it's the nesting of my body.
That didn't sound right at all.
I have the ID and the stream ID. But
are they at different levels?
Are they? Let's go back to the YouTube builder page thing and see
let's
where
look
they're
at that.
supposed to be.
So I got let me see if I can try to get this. In fact, here's what we'll do. We'll use the actual IDs from this guy.
And actually, are those passed in the body or are those passed as URL parameters?
Oh my gosh. Well, that would be the problem. Okay. They are.
So we don't have a payload. We just need.
There is no payload in this thing. Wow. Now this actually.
It's a post with no payload.
But I mean that's okay still. I think.
Okay.
I think.
That's just odd, in my opinion.
I think this API right here fails the principle of least surprise. I mean, right?
I mean, because the thing is, if we're not actually creating anything, we're not passing. Like all we're doing is we're saying these are two existing resources. We're not giving it extra metadata. So I don't know if that justifies it or not, but that's the only way.
Not in my book. Post and payload.
Yeah. So everything in here is a request parameter. All right. So so we'll just do that. All right. So ID, stream ID. So we'll get that from, do the same stuff we did. Whoa, wait, what?
That's just going to come straight from the inputs. Nice.
Inputs.
That means we can.
Broadcast ID. And again, remember what I was saying before about if they didn't name the ID, they named this ID broadcast ID just for sheer analogy.
Yep.
Even though you don't need it. I mean, yes, it is the broadcast API. Still. And let's go ahead and let's get rid of that payload. And I'm going to let's go for broke here. And I'm just going to get rid of the payload step. Because we don't want that around if it
might be causing
it's just
some
harmful
issues.
to even just be there. All right. Processing. Actually, not sure what it's processing.
Did you hit? I didn't see you hit save. Has it just been processing this whole time?
I haven't hit save yet.
Oh, I wonder.
Something in the back end is
Wonky.
chunky. Worst case scenario, I got to reload this.
You might have to.
All right, you have 5 seconds.
4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. That's what you're I think it's going to reload all my tabs, right?
Probably. Oh, they all came back.
That's cool, at least.
All right, so back to where we were. Let's get rid of the payload. Rest step. Let's get rid of the. I am doing the bind live stream bind. Okay, so I want ID. I want stream ID. Okay. And I want the body is gone.
Yep.
We're going to save it. All right. Now we're going to go back over here. We're going to schedule again. All right. Now, rewagering.
I still got my money on green.
I'm going to say green now. I have to.
All right.
Please work. Please work.
All right. Let's look at it. And.
Oh, no.
All right.
Green! Take a
All
drink.
green. All right. Now, let's go and look at. So the problem being, let me go ahead and let's delete all these and let's do this again. Because,
Not sure which ones really worked.
yeah, let's delete all these.
Waiting for
I like how they have to make you wait.
1. In case you really have been drinking and want to delete all your videos.
All right, we're going to delete that. We're going to delete that. So we should have, this has actually gotten a little messy. Let's get rid of, are these all outputs? Let me get rid of everything here. All our execution.
I find myself doing that in studio too. How many, I haven't worked on this UI action in about 2 hours. Why do I still have the tab open?
All right, so we're going to go back to our flow. We're going to run it again.
Drum roll, please.
So we know it's going to be green. That's not really suspenseful. Then the question is really going to be, do we have a meaningful data structure over here?
Sure.
And we have, now what we're going to do, so we've got all that. It's scheduled in the past, which may be jacking us up a little bit.
Yeah, well.
If we, and that's not what I
No,
want.
it's 2018. What happened?
Oh, 2018.
We must have adjusted the year.
Yeah, it may have.
Oh.
It may have done that for us, or did we do that?
I think.
All right. So okay. So this is, and so now, this is the thing I was talking about before, where they're all kind of conflated. So these are the parts we set up via API. Over here. These are the other things. So this is how, you know what I said? There's one thing. These are kind of the stream things that we're looking at. So now,
that stuff.
yeah, I know. I look at it every single week because I have to. These are the things I was talking about. So here's a setting, and I set all these things by hand every week. What I don't see is, so this right here. This is when we had the meltdown show. That was because this was in the wrong setting. So this setting needs to be, the stream needs to be setting this one. We want this one, but not this. We want the middle one. We want the language to English, and we want to do that API. What I'm not seeing is
scroll up. I think it's under ingestion.
Ingestion setting. We should have at the very least.
Is it frame rate?
I don't see the frame rate or the. I'm not seeing that for where. I don't know where that went.
It should be ingestion, but maybe something didn't go through.
Create one manually.
Yeah, let's go ahead and shoot. I got so excited I pulled my headphones out. Let's go back to.
And while going back, I'm just checking the chat. Freddie says, "Glass 21-year-old McAllen and live coding happy hour. Is there anything better?" I think the answer is no. There is nothing better.
I think you have won this edition, my friend.
Yes,
we're gonna have Freddie as a guest in person.
All right, so I'm gonna go schedule a new one.
Gotta bring that up.
Yeah, bring it to CreatorCon.
And we'll, whatever. Advanced settings. See, I think actually this is maybe not the problem we think it is. I think what we're seeing is we've already noticed that there's some churn on these APIs. There's churn in, we've already seen this in the IDs, and there's some stuff happening. What I think is happening is that we are seeing the API slightly out of sync with the UI, because here's what I think is happening. After we create it, and you'll notice essentially what we're doing here is I think we are creating the broadcast, right? Not the stream, but the broadcast. After we create an event, then we have other things that didn't exist before. So this right here is something we do every time, is we choose whether we're using what stream key we're using. And so
oh, there they are.
There
Those are the
are
ones
the
that you just.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
However, what this implies something bad for our flow.
Mm-hmm.
Because this should have been associated.
Well,
go
no,
to the
you
manage.
deleted those. Were the ones you deleted, but you deleted the broadcast and not the stream.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I think this should be like, if I'm going to go ahead and delete every one of these guys.
Sure.
What I think should have happened is what I would have expected to see, because we created the two things and we bound them. We should have seen the newly created stream selected here and this checked. Like, this radio button should have been selected and our stream should have been under the selection.
You're right. When you did the bind, that's what I would expect to have been done.
Yeah, I think that's the. So we're not getting an error on this, but in fact,
could it be a timing thing?
Well, actually, do we know we're not getting an error? Can we take a look at that? The actual...
You know what we're not doing? Are we doing an error? Wait a second.
200.
When we did our bind, when I reloaded that, you notice what's missing.
Oh.
Well, that would help.
Let's do this again, right quick. All right.
This brings up something else interesting too, but I'll wait to mention that until we're done with this test.
All right. So we bound.
Is it going to make it fail, Josh?
No.
All right. So at this point, this should be a great test because we've
clean up.
So what?
You want to clean up the stream that's sitting out there?
This is the one I did by hand. This will not be the same.
I thought we had a successful one as well.
I haven't run it yet.
Okay.
So we got no stream. So at this point, I got no streams on this account. And we've just got this one that will have it different because I did it by hand.
Gotcha.
So if we go back to Creator Studio. So if we do the events, there should be no events on this account. Manual event. Let's make sure we delete this one.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're deleting that, the chat room did actually point this out, and I missed it. So Tariq earlier said, "Did you save?" And so you noticed that we didn't save.
All right, so you get credit for that one. All right, okay, let's test. Now, this should do the full Monty here. This should do. Okay. This should do everything. It's going to successfully bind. It's going to create both. It's going to successfully bind them. And when we're done, we should be able to click into that YouTube event, and we should see. So we do have all three, because we copied it. All three should have the error. Error.
But it's progress of a new kind.
What kind of statement is that?
And
it means we know more now.
We learned from our mistakes. That's why we made a lot of mistakes.
Unknown part.
Unknown part.
Can you open that response body in its entirety?
Yes. Where's this thing right here? This right here.
Yeah.
YouTube.part, unknown part, message broadcast ID.
It's ID.
It's ID, not broadcast ID. All right. Good.
I thought I saw you sneak something, and I wasn't sure where it was. Like, how are you typing broadcast ID?
Schedule. Bind stream. All right. So in our rest step, in the part
stream ID.
It's not broadcast ID. It's stream ID over here, right?
Oh, right.
It's ID and stream ID.
It's lowercase.
Yep.
And uppercase. Patterns. Cannot save action type with insufficient access level.
Who did what now?
Huh?
Hit it again. Nope.
That's weird.
I think I just. All right, let's try this. I think I may have just lost. Might be logged out of Josh's instance.
Maybe just reload that UI.
Again. Try it one more time. Okay. All right. So in the bind action, I'm using the wrong part. Broadcast ID should be stream ID.
There's that inconsistency coming to bite you.
Okay.
There. When in
All
doubt,
right.
reload.
Go back to schedule. We're going to test this again one more time.
One more time.
We do need to resave our flow. It's just going to naturally pick up the new action.
I saved the action. So
Yeah,
I think that should be good.
But it's got a new thing, so that's good. Stream
Unknown part. Stream ID.
Do we need to pass parts at all? Maybe we don't pass anything in parts.
There is a part. There is a part ID.
What were the things that it listed under part as valid? So the part live broadcast resources include properties. The part names are ID, snippet, content details, and status. So the only part that you could actually pass is ID. It sounds like.
So okay. So let's take that out. So, all right.
So how does it know what to bind to?
Well, we'll find that out next.
It seems like that's only half the equation.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I'm actually like YouTube is making my head hurt here. There is.
Yeah, this is by far one of the weirder conventions, like you were saying earlier. I have never seen this.
I kind of sort of understand it. It's like this. It's almost like a checksum digit, right? It's got this one parameter that's telling you what you're passing, but then it's just this thing that you can fail by not having it match up. So all right. So I'm passing only ID in the part. I'm passing ID and the stream ID as query parameters to this post, which again, as Chuck noted, feels weird. All right.
Well, it's all green.
Everything is green. We're going to go over to the accounts. We're going to look at the events. We've got that.
Which one's the latest one?
You know what I'm going to do? Let's... I don't want to
flow one more time.
I do not want to spend any time on an Easter egg hunt. So let us do that. While that's going, I don't have to wait for that. I'm going to go ahead and do this. All right. We are right at the end. We're just kind of waiting for the thank you, good night moment. All right. It worked. We go back and look at the events. All right, now success case is we open this up and it's bound to that stream key. Oh, wrong thing. I don't want to look at the thing. I want to edit it.
Yep.
If we look at advanced settings.
And.
Where's the.
It's ingestion.
It's ingestion. Okay. And there it is.
Boom.
Okay.
Very nice. So this brings up. Yes, definitely clap and take a drink. There's one thing that makes this interesting now, which is we might not want a separate stream for every broadcast.
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly the case. Like right now, we're using a reusable stream, so we actually don't want it. So after everything that we did here, we probably don't want this because we don't want. We're just realizing that we probably want to just pass the key of the existing stream.
Yeah. So, and this has changed because YouTube only started supporting reusable stream keys recently. It used to be that I think we would have to do this every time.
Yeah, like this is within the last month that this concept even exists. So, I think this was a worthwhile exercise, but now we're probably gonna have to undo this part. So this step here, and then, by the way, so this like as a action in the spoke is quite valid. I mean, this deserves to live in the spoke. But what we're going to do is probably what we need to do is now inside our application, inside our artifact manager application, we need some concept of maybe we need somewhere to live in the system the idea of a live stream. If it doesn't exist, we create it. And if it does exist, we use it. Something like that.
That makes sense. This also brings up an interesting design point too, which is by keeping these things self-contained and atomic. Even though we don't want to go back now and we don't want to use this, we can still we're not stuck with an action that does everything. Had we bundled it all into one, we would be in a bad place and we'd have to go and refactor. But now we just take it out of the flow.
Yeah, exactly. So let's spend a minute talking about that. Like if we had done this in pre-Kingston stuff. We would probably have like either a script include or a set of, REST resources that are doing this. They're probably, as you say, bound up in one chunk of business logic, like in a thing. But now we have this, and we have 3 completely separate, very loosely coupled actions that are taking, like, the outputs of each one is feeding the next one. And they're extremely loosely coupled, and it's like very easy to this is the whole concept, right? We could reorder these, we can shuffle them, we can remove them, et cetera, et cetera. So
in this case, they need to be in a specific order because the outputs will one feed into the next. But
correct.
But you're right. They can be reordered. It's a mind shift from the way we're thinking of putting integrations and flows together.
And in fact, let me show you what
I like it
now. So now what we're going to do is something like this. If we already have a stream ID, then set the stream ID.
And you can save the stream ID where? On your artifact table, or as a dot walked field from the artifact? How are you thinking about that in the data model?
I mean, you could ship a table with the spoke.
It could be a table. It could be. So that's the. Yeah, here's the thing: is it probably needs to be part of the spoke, because we don't want our YouTube stuff to depend on anything artifact manager. Like, very much, it should there should be no artifact manager isms in our spoke here. The spoke should be completely. Although I
guess the other way you could look at it,
but this flow is an artifact manager flow,
right?
So the flow can have. So I'm changing my mind right there. The flow can have this in here. I don't really care. I mean, it will take a little bit of thought. It could either be that we maybe have this is like now a new element in Artifact Manager, which is live stream, like YouTube stream. And if we have an existing one, then we use it, and if not, we create it and then store it.
Well, and actually, I kind of like that. So the more I'm thinking about this, the more. So if you leave these actions set up the way they are, and you don't embed the data in the spoke, I mean, you certainly could do that, but then you can look up records in a flow. So you could, if you wanted to go and look it up in a table, you could go look up a record, see if there's a stream key. If it's there, use it.
Right. So step 3 is look up existing stream key, basically.
Right. Or you could also just embed it. You could actually embed it in the business logic of the main app and say that there is a table of stream keys. When you're scheduling the artifact, it's a required field on the form. You can't save it, so this flow can't run until it's there. So that's a separate concern, and the flow doesn't even have to know about it. You're just passing it in.
Couple of connection points we could options we've got to doing that.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I actually feel I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. I feel extreme. I was so worried about this because I thought, for the same reason Josh said he was happy to take a break. I thought, oh no, now I have the same problem. How do I stop sharing this? I don't even. It's been an hour. I don't even remember what I pressed to start sharing.
I'm gonna have to make a point of updating my Skype, or not. Maybe not.
I'm not touching
I'll be honest. I'm not even. Screw it. You're not gonna see my face because I'm done. I don't have the energy to figure out how I turned the Skype on or off. Ugh, gosh, dug it. Oh, here it was this button. So this plus button down at the bottom. I don't know how to turn it off. All right. Dewclaw, 4.5. It's exactly what I was in the mood for. Sweet Baby Java. I love this beer.
Very, very nice. Blood Orange IPA, 21st Man Brewery. Definitely still I think it was a 4.25 last week, so it's about the same.
Guinness Draft Stout, solid 4.0.
All right. I don't know. Are you guys seeing me, or are you seeing the screen?
I see
your
you
avatar comes
on
up.
the little. Yeah, you're just on the little tiny thing in the corner.
Oh, Skype. Of all the things you have to fight with, it's also Skype. It's not just Flow Designer. It's not everything else. It's also Skype.
Hey, all right. Flow Designer was the easy piece today. It was the YouTube API and Skype. Everything else was.
Again, like I was saying before, I would have bet against us getting as far as we did. So everything about that, like we got to final success, even though we decided we're not probably going to go forward with that. But a lot of that has to do with like the extreme fluidity of the YouTube model. So that does imply that like and that actually is even more so a use case for Flow Designer, because as we've seen, like this stuff can change on a dime, and especially when it comes to YouTube, it may very well. And so what you don't want to have to do is go in and rewrite a bunch of script includes, or worse, get your dev team to have to rewrite a script include, change embedded logic, push a new release out, et cetera, when like one person can change it in the flow.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I think this was great. I was kind of in that same boat of having played with these APIs before, thinking this is gonna be a lot harder than it was, but I'm super happy. I'm really happy with this.
I'm gonna work on this offline because I absolutely want the next. I still want this next one scheduled via this. I'm gonna consider it a personal failing if I have to schedule the next week's show by hand, like some kind of animal. I'm doing it by the API or bust. That is my pledge to you.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So thank you, gentlemen. This was so much more fun than I was expecting it to be. So thank you for everybody watching. Any final chat things that we want to address before we go out of here?
Just taking a quick look. I think we are good to go.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody that watches later. And thank you guys for being on this crazy journey with us for so long.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.